North Ridgeville City Council meeting is now in session. Today's date, March the 15th, 2021. Please rise. Invocation, pledge of allegiance. Father, as we come in prayer today, we ask that you give us your guidance and the strength to lead our city forward. We ask that you keep us all in mind and keep us safe, as many of us will be celebrating our heritage. We always pray for our troops as well as our safety forces. In your name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk, please call the roll.
Wang.
Here.
Booth.
Here.
Amen.
Here.
Winkle.
Here.
Jacobs.
Here.
Oleski.
Here.
DeVries.
Here.
Mayor.
Here.
Service Director.
Here.
Law Director.
Here.
Engineer.
Here.
Auditor.
Here.
Clerk of Council. Here.
Thank you. So under minutes, we have the City Council meeting minutes of March the 1st, 2021. Are there any changes or corrections at this time? Hearing none, those minutes are approved. We also have the Board of Zoning and Building Appeals meeting minutes of February the 25th, 2021. And that will bring us to our lobby session. At this time, we will open up our lines and let people join us. Obviously, you can go on to Zoom. We've been doing this for a while now, and allow the community and our residents to get involved and ask questions of the City Council as well as the Mayor's administration. And we will do our best to answer them, or at least to get some information to get back to you. So at this time, I will turn it over to the Assistant Clerk. Is there anybody joining us through Zoom this evening?
There are some guests,
Okay,
residents through Zoom, and there's no one making a comment on YouTube.
okay. We'll pause for a moment and let people get organized and see if they want to join us or if they have any questions. If they're just there to watch the meeting and see what's going on, we appreciate that as well. We always like an informed community. Again, if you want to get involved with the meeting, you can call the council clerk, as well as go on to our website, nridgeville.org, and see the instructions on there as how to join us and ask questions and get involved. You may also like to send in comments or questions ahead of time, and they will be read, and we'll do our best to address those questions. At this time, has anybody joined us to ask a question?
No one has indicated that they have a question.
Okay, at this time, we're going to move forward then to the administrator reports. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, earlier you mentioned some of us will be celebrating our heritage. Some people will be celebrating other people's heritage on the same day.
That's
It'll
true.
be a lot of fun.
We're all Irish that day, correct?
Yes, exactly, exactly. All right, so first off, I'd like to make an appointment. I would like to recommend that City Council approve the appointment of Paul Grotman to the Planning Commission to fill the seat left vacant by Jason Jacobs, who was appointed to council at large. Boy, I'm having trouble today. After Michelle Hung took her seat as county commissioner, Paul will be a great asset to this committee and to the community, as he's lived in North Ridgeville for the last 35 years. He also brings 40 years of government service experience to the table. He's currently serving as an associate commander at the LCCC's Police Training Academy and is an active member of the Rotary Club of North Ridgeville. Also, thank you.
It was motioned by the mayor, seconded by Booth, to appoint Paul Groutman to the committee. Clerk, please call roll.
Wang.
Yes.
Booth.
Yes.
Evans.
Yes.
Winkle.
Yes.
Jacobs.
Yes.
Oleski.
Yes.
DeVries.
Yes.
Planning Commission Committee has a new appointment of Paul Groutman.
Awesome, thank you very much. I'd like to invite you to the next coffee and conversation, which is scheduled for Tuesday, March 23rd from 8:30 to 9:30 here in the council chambers. Please wear your mask and we'll practice social distancing to keep everyone as safe as possible. The Rotary Club of North Ridgeville is sponsoring their annual Easter egg hunt at Ranger Stadium on Saturday, March 27th. This year's event will be a little bit different. There are staggered times for different age groups to allow for social distancing and to minimize the number of participants gathered at one location. Ages 1 through 3, the gates open for them at 11:45 a.m. with the hunt starting at 12. Ages 4 to 5, the gates open at 12:45 with the hunt to begin at 1 p.m. Ages 6 to 7, gates open at 1:45 with the hunt scheduled to start at 2 p.m. And gates ages 8 through 9, that will open at 2:45 with the hunt starting at 3. Masks are required for ages 6 and up, and there is a reminder, please bring your basket to collect the eggs. City Hall offices will be closed Friday, April 2nd in observance of the Good Friday holiday. I know we're a little bit farther away, but I wish everyone a happy Easter. On tonight's agenda, under first readings, T34 is an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a software license agreement with Link Computer Corporation for the Utilities Department. I'll be asking to move the second and third readings and add the emergency clause in order to move forward with the implementation of the new software, to streamline the process for billing purposes. Also, under third readings, there's two pieces of legislation. T25, an ordinance amending certain sections of NRCO Chapter 215 lien procedures, and T26, an ordinance amending NRCO Section 1444.15, additional property inspections by the city engineer, issuance of certificates of occupancy upon payment of fleet fees. And I'll ask that we add the emergency clause to that this evening so we can implement the changes to the ordinance immediately. Both of our department heads have asked for those changes on the third readings to add the emergency clause. So that is why the request is coming in. And I have some ordinances to introduce on the floor. There are 4 of them. I'll go over each one right now. At this point, I'll make the motion to dispense the bylaws to add T41, T42, T43, and T44 to the agenda this evening on your first readings.
Second. Here's move the mayor, second by Molesky, to add T41, T42, T43, and T44 to tonight's agenda. All in favor, say yes. All opposed? Passes unanimously.
And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Mr. Safety Service Director.
Well, unlike today, last week we had great warm weather, which brought us to a conversation of food trucks and where they are and where they're located. And those of you that are out there, and just to remind you that if you're going to have a food truck in your neighborhood, the food truck in itself has to be licensed and approved by the Lorraine County Health Board. You want to make sure of that because you don't want them to have food and somebody to get food poisoning at a food truck that you had at your house. You also want to make sure that they have fire department approval from the city of North Ridgeville, that they will go through the food truck to make sure it meets all the fire codes that are out there, because even if you have shaved ice, you still have compressors. You might have some butane tanks on that food truck that need to be covered, and the fire department will certainly help that food truck operator get certified. Won't help them fix the problems, but we'll point out the problems that are out there. And then in our conversation that took place today, the food trucks themselves, according to the ordinances of the city of North Ridgeville, are not supposed to be within 50 feet of a structure. So you really, when you place this food truck, hopefully parked on the right side of the street or in your driveway, it can't be in your driveway because it's not 50 feet away from your home. But you need to find a place that is appropriate, that is 50 feet away from a structure. This ordinance was put in place not for food trucks, but it was put in place a long time ago, several years ago, to make sure that there's a safe place to park this truck. It certainly is the administration's intention with COVID lockdown that we've had to offer people the opportunity to have food trucks, because that's the new fad of going all across the whole United States. But make sure that you just meet these 3 criteria. There are others that if you want to look in the ordinances of the city, but these are the 3 most important: health department approval and licensed, the fire department approval, making sure that it's safe from any fire or any explosion. And then staying 50 feet away from a structure, your home or a building that you've got it set up on. And that's important. And then if you are on a street that's very busy, I would suggest that you go to a side street to meet this criteria, not park it on Center Ridge Road, Avalon, or something that you're really that will create a hazard, and some child will run across the street to the food truck or to the ice cream truck or the ice shaving truck and get hit. So let's be safe, let's have fun. And that's my food truck report for tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Safety Service Director. Mr. Engineer.
Thank you, Council President. Just want to let everybody know that we have put out our 2021 catch basin repair contract that advertised today. It'll advertise again next week, and we'll open those bids on March 30th of this year. There's approximately 34 catch basins and 1 manhole that will be replaced in this project, replaced and or adjusted, and the concrete around them fixed. Our Stony Ridge Road water main contractor has completed all the storm sewer work with the project and done some initial grading. A separate restoration crew will come in the next couple of weeks to begin restoring any lawns that need to be replaced. And then lastly, like I've said before, pavement repairs will be made. Our 2020 fire hydrant project is just about complete. There are approximately 6 more fire hydrants to be replaced on our original list. The contractor also in this case will begin restoring yards in the coming weeks as well. And that concludes my report for this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Engineer. Ms. Auditor.
Thank you, Council President. Just real quick, I wanted to make council aware that the 2020 annual audit is set to begin next week. James G. Zupka, once again, will be performing the audit services on behalf of the state of Ohio. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Auditor. Under other reports, we have the February 2021 Building Department report, the February 2021 Fire Department report, the February 2021 Police Department Support Car report, and the 2020 Annual Water Comparison report.
President,
Yes, Ms. Swank.
I'd like to make note that there is no police department support car report. At least not on my agenda. I didn't see it.
It's the third item down under E, other reports.
Other administration reports, it's not on.
Okay, we'll make sure that it gets amended then.
Yeah, it's not on.
No, okay, thank you. At this time, we've come to recess.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Booth.
take a motion to dispense with recess.
Second.
It was moved by Booth, seconded by Winkle to dispense with recess. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed? That will bring us to first readings. T34.
T34, 2021, an ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of North Ridgeville, Ohio, to enter a software license agreement with the Link Computer Corporation for the Utilities Department not to exceed $49,000.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
move to dispense with the second and third readings for T34.
Second.
It was moved by the mayor, seconded by Booth to dispense with the second and third readings for T34. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed?
Mr. President, make a motion to adopt.
Second,
Mr. President, make a motion to add the emergency so that we can begin the expedited billing system. It's going to take 90 to 120 days to be up and running.
second,
It was moved by Booth, seconded by Swank to add the emergency clause for T34 for the reasons stated. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed? It was then moved by Booth, seconded by Swank to adopt T34 with that emergency clause in place. Are there any questions at this time? Yes, Mr. Booth.
Yeah, just want to comment, since the ordinance reads that the mayor can enter into an agreement substantially the same form as Exhibit A. We don't need to change it here, but my recommendation would be that under item 7.2, where it talks about payments and past due of our monthly invoice. It does not identify what late is, other than being late. So I don't know if there's a grace period beyond the date that the bill is due. But I think that there should be some sort of understanding there that, understanding the US mail, and it's my understanding right now, that's how we pay things. That if we mail something and it's a couple days late, we don't want to have to pay the 1.5% fee that's being charged here. So again, I could not see it in the agreement, and I would recommend that we just come up with an understanding with the vendor that we understand what that is. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, your response to that recommendation?
I have no problem with that. Right now, mail system is somewhat unreliable, if you've noticed at your own house. So far vendors have been understanding of that.
So we will move forward then. The motion's been made, and we will add those changes to indicate the grace period and what the late time would be on this.
Oh, Mr. President?
Yes.
I'm not suggesting we make any change to the agreement. The mayor has the authorization, if council does pass this, to make that change on his own.
Very good.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, so again, it was moved by Booth, seconded by Swank to adopt T34 with that emergency clause in place. Clerk, please call the roll.
Swank,
Yes.
Booth,
Yes.
Avens,
Yes.
Winkle,
Yes.
Jacobs,
Yes.
Molesky,
Yes.
DeVries.
Yes.
The motion carries unanimously and becomes ordinance 5806, 2021.
T35.
T35, 2021, an ordinance amending NRCO section 1444.05, plan approved fees by adding 2 subsections.
We will assign that to the administrative committee. T36.
Council President,
Yes.
are we sure that it's 5806? I have 5806 noted as T18 from our last meeting. Is that correct? You sure?
That's what's on my list is the next one.
For T34.
Yeah, I had 5806 as T18 from last meeting.
I can do clarification.
Thank you. Pause for a moment while the assistant clerk is reviewing that information for us.
Chair.
Yes.
While we're in a little break, I did want to bring up something about stormwater in the community, since we have a couple minutes, and the Ohio EPA is now requiring the city to make notes and make announcements at our meetings, our city council meetings anyways, about stormwater in communities of some sort. So I just want to throw out there a public service announcement of make sure that if you have roadside ditches or any ditches that you can clean out in front of your house, if there's any debris in there, I would say get that debris out of there before we have some rains here in the spring. That debris will travel downstream or into pipes and clog them and cause backups. So anything that we can do in the interim to do some of that cleaning up right now while the weather is going to be good over the next weekend or so, I would suggest we do so as a community and just look out for your neighbors. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Engineer. Great advice.
Mr. President.
This is Ms.
In
Booth.
regards to the engineer's comments, also, as in the past, if you're elderly or physically challenged and you have a ditch or something that you can't get down into to get a piece of debris out, and you don't have a neighbor that can help you, please contact the city. They'll make sure that someone comes out there and takes it out. Thank you.
Thank you. Sherry, you find any information?
The new ordinance number should be 5807-2021. My apologies.
Okay, just for the record, then T34-2021 is now 5807-2021. And then back to T35, that'll be recommended to be reviewed by the administrative committee. And that brings us to T36.
T36, 2021, an ordinance amending certain subsections of the NRCO section 1444.04, business, industrial, and commercial uses.
That will be referred to the administrative committee. T37,
T37, 2021, an ordinance amending the NRCO section 1444.15, additional property inspections by city engineer, issuance of certificates of occupancy upon payment of fees by adding a subsection.
that will be referred to the administrative committee as well. T38,
T38, 2021, a resolution authorizing the mayor to apply to the Ohio Department of Natural Resources for funding under the Nature Works Grant Program.
Mr. Booth, as the liaison to the Parks and Rec Committee, could you give us a little bit of insight as to what this grant is involving?
Certainly, thank you, Mr. President. The Ohio Department of Natural Resources Nature Works Grants Program is a program that the city has taken advantage of and used several times over the past years. Most recently, the grant paid for the fitness portion of the fitness trail at the Shady Drive complex. This particular request is to replace the existing playground at South Central Park, which is just southwest of the community cabin. It will actually take the entire existing playground down and build a whole new one with several enhancements. Depending on the amount of the grant, there is an enhancement that the Rotary Club of North Ridgeville is going to make a sizable donation to pay for a part of that. And the grant application is not due till June 1st. And typically funding is awarded in the fall or late fall. So we would anticipate completion of this project most likely in the spring of 2022. But right now, I don't see the need to pass it with an emergency now. We may want to wait for the next time to move that forward, but right now we're in good timing.
Great, thank you, Mr. Booth.
Thank you.
And thank you to the Rotary. Very nice to help them. T39,
T39, 2021, an ordinance amending certain sections of the NRCO chapter 1228 improvements.
T40,
T40, 2021, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract according to law and in a manner prescribed by law for the Mills Creek North Condo water main rehabilitation, including appurtenances not to exceed $650,000.
down to T41.
T41, 2021, an ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of North Ridgeville to purchase a camera for the service department from the state bid list or state co-op, or to advertise for bids and enter into a contract with an outside vendor according to law and in a manner prescribed by law, not to exceed $110,000.
Mr. President.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Did you say 110?
It's $130,000.
$130,000.
Thank you. All right.
Oh, I'm sorry, 130.
I'll make a motion to dispense with the second and third readings or for T41, please.
Second.
It was moved by the mayor, second by Booth, to dispense with the second and third readings on T41. All in favor, say yes. Yes. All opposed?
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
move to adopt,
Second.
move to add the emergency clause to T41 for the reason.
Sorry.
Go ahead. You can second, but I'll give you the reason. All right, this camera is something we discussed during the budget process. It is a piece of equipment that when it needs to be repaired, it costs a significant amount of money. We have been putting a significant amount of money in repairs in the one that we have, so I'd like to move this along and get this ordered as quickly as possible for this type of work.
By the mayor, second by Swink, to add the emergency clause to T41. All in favor, say yes. Yes. All opposed? It was then moved by the mayor, second by Swink, to adopt T41 with that emergency clause in place. Are there any final comments or questions? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Swain,
Yes.
Booth,
Yes.
Avens,
Yes.
Winkle,
Yes.
Jacobs,
Yes.
Molesky,
Yes.
DeVries.
Yes.
The motion carries unanimously and becomes 5808-2021.
T42.
T42-2021, an ordinance authorizing the mayor of North Ridgeville or his designatee to seek quotes for the lease purchase of new equipment and any auxiliary item, and to enter into a 5-year lease purchase agreement not to exceed $275,000.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
move to dispense with the second and third readings for T42.
Second.
It was moved by Booth, it was moved by the mayor, second by Booth, to dispense with the second and third readings for T42. All in favor, say yes. Yes.
Yes.
All opposed?
Mr. President, I'll make a motion to adopt.
Second.
Mr. President, I'll also make a motion to add the emergency due to the timeliness of getting this piece of equipment that is most valuable to the repair of our streets in our community. Second.
It was moved by Booth, seconded by Winkle, to add the emergency clause to T42 for the reasons just stated. On the emergency clause itself, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed? It was then moved by Booth, seconded by Winkle, to adopt T42 with that emergency clause. Are there any questions or comments at this time?
Mr. President, I have a comment.
Yes, Ms. Swank.
This has been budgeted. So this is something that we were prepared to do.
That is correct. It was part of appropriations for 2021. Are there any other comments or questions? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Swain,
Yes.
Booth,
Yes.
Avens,
Yes.
Winkle,
Yes.
Jacobs,
Yes.
Molesky,
Yes.
DeVries.
Yes.
The motion carries unanimously and becomes 5809-2021.
T43.
T43-2021. An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of North Ridgeville to advertise for bids and negotiate a contract according to law and in a manner prescribed by law for the rental of equipment and related services for road repair and maintenance to be used by the service department.
Mr. Mayor, is there going to be an emergency clause required on this?
Not tonight, and not for the next one either.
T44.
T44-2021, an ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of North Ridgeville, Ohio, to advertise for bids and negotiate a contract for a 12-month period according to law and in a manner prescribed by law for the purchase of roadway materials to be used by the city of North Ridgeville, Ohio.
The second readings, T27.
T27-2021, a resolution to approve with modification the application made by James W. and Loretta A. King regarding certain land owned by them which has been designated as an agricultural district by the Office of the County Auditor.
T30.
T 2021, an ordinance amending ordinance number 5267, 2015 regarding the city's investment policy.
The third readings, T 25.
T 2021, an ordinance amending certain sections of the NRCO chapter 2015 lien procedure.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Avens.
move to adopt.
It was moved by Avens, second by Swank. Are there any comments or questions at this time?
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Booth.
just a comment, and a question, I guess, to the law director, or through the chair. In section, on page 2, section 1, the new section 1 states that the notice of intent to lien shall be sent by certified mail to the record owner, by regular mail concurrently to the same, or by personal service. Where currently, we are sending a notice of lien by certified mail and by regular mail. So my question is, in my business, when we go to do any type of legal action, we send a certified mail so that we have a record that the post office tried to deliver, even if it goes unclaimed. Is it okay that we aren't going to have that? If we choose to just do it by personal service, is it okay to not
Yes.
have certified mail?
It is. We've compared it with other ordinances as well in neighboring cities. This is just putting them on notice that they have a potential lien coming their way and to contact the department. This is just it was a redundancy. And to tell you the truth, we're mailing certified, we're mailing regular, and we're trying to contact them personally with a number of attachments. And it turned out to be rather costly. So we took out a few of the attachments that had to be included. We made it just, refer to the ordinance number so they could look it up themselves. And this is something that will pass muster.
Okay, so we're no longer then going to be sending certified mail.
Correct.
And so the personal service, is the personal service going to be made certain that it's giving to the person that the correspondence is intended? They're not supposed to leave it there?
No, it'll be personal service.
Okay.
Yeah.
And somehow they'll be signing for it or something like
Yes.
that? Okay. Very good. Thank you.
Mhm.
Are there any other questions? Comments?
Mr. President.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
I'd like to add the emergency clause to this to get these procedures in place for the next billing cycle.
Mr. President, I'll second that.
Okay, it was moved by Booth, it was moved by the mayor, second by Booth to add the emergency clause for T 25. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Yes. All opposed? It was then moved by Avens, second by Swank to adopt T 25 with that emergency clause in place. Again, are there any final questions? Clerk, please call the roll.
Swank.
Yes.
Booth.
Yes.
Avens.
Yes.
Winkle.
Yes.
Jacobs.
Yes.
Maleski.
Yes.
DeVries.
Yes.
The ordinance passes unanimously and becomes 5810, 2021.
T 26.
D 26, 2021, an ordinance amending the NRCO section 1444.15, additional property inspection by city engineer, issuance of certificate of occupancy upon payment of fees.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Booth.
move to adopt.
Second.
Mr. President, I move to amend by substitution. The version that's in front of you this evening. Couple of changes specifically in section 1A and B and D. Just changing some language to be consistent with the description of these amounts as fees as opposed to costs. In the version in front of you, they're highlighted, the changes. 4 different changes with the word fees being put in there, and then the one word of amounts being added.
I'll second the mayor's motion.
Actually, I think I had Mr. Winkle on second.
Oh, okay.
So I will, okay, the mayor has moved to amend T 26 for the reasons stated, second by Winkle. Are there any comments or questions? All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
All opposed? And now we have, it was moved by Booth, second by Molesky to adopt T 26. All in favor, say yes. All opposed?
Mr. President, I'm going to interrupt you for a second just to add the emergency clause to this. Mr. City Engineer has asked for that to be put into place so that way this could, there's, we have a lot of residential construction going on in this city, and these things, we'd like to have this place put in place as quickly as possible.
Sorry.
Second.
Through the chair, can I add this one thing? to the
Yes,
mayor's
Mr. Engineer.
comments? Yes, the reason why we're adding this section is only to take on additional deposits. What we've been finding is that during our final grade inspection, which is an inspector from the city's engineering department going out to a newly built home and checking the outside stuff, yard, property fence, sidewalk, things of that nature. What we've been finding is that in a lot of cases last year, we had to go back 2 and 3 times. Well, your original building permit only covered us for one visit. So we were going back 2 and 3 times on multiple occasions for no additional fees. So we want to just get this updated so that we can have an additional deposit to pull from should we have to revisit these homes on multiple occasions. And that's where this is coming from. And so far this year, I believe in our last department head meeting that the chief building official stated that we're above 70 new starts already for this year. So I want to get this in as soon as possible because obviously the longer we wait, the more and more starts we're going to have. I processed 5 or 6 new homes today myself. So, and I still have about 10 or 15 in my inbox. So the sooner we get this in, the sooner we can get that installed and get it on the books.
Great, thank you, Mr. Engineer.
Thank you.
And Mr. President, I believe we've done something like that. It's similar to this with the building inspectors as well. And they have to go back for a second or third time on the same mission.
Okay, thank you. It was moved by the mayor, second by Molesky to add the emergency clause to 226 for the reasons stated by the engineer. On that emergency clause itself, all in favor say yes. All opposed? It was then moved by Booth, second by Molesky to adopt 226 with that emergency clause in place. Are there any comments or questions?
President, I'd just like to add that the certificate of occupancy is needed with most mortgage companies or banks that will, close on its own. I think that would maybe expedite.
Thank you. Are there any other comments? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Swain,
Yes.
Booth,
Yes.
Havens,
Yes.
Winkle,
Yes.
Jacobs,
Yes.
Molesky,
Yes.
DeVries.
Yes.
The motion carries unanimously and becomes 58-11-2021.
The next regular council meeting will be on Monday, April